minute. I think there's 2 pages that be.
Oh. Okay, there's that. There's a set.
Okay.
There's a set. There's a set. Kids today.
If there's not.
Okay, more if we need them. Does anybody else need one?
No, I don't need, I need agenda, not minutes.
Oh.
They're coming.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Let's see, roll call. Teresa Basinger.
Here.
Frank Kessler.
Present?
John Myers here. Michael Schrader.
Present.
Thor Hodges. Not present. Jill Western.
Here.
Okay. We actually have several items on the agenda today that's kind of out of the ordinary, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. And maybe Lori, you could, you're first on the agenda. You can
Sure.
talk to us about the CTE program.
Thank you for allowing me to come back. Lori Shipman's going to be joining me here momentarily. She got stuck in the drop-off line at Indian Springs. But if you recall, we were here last fall to kind of update you on what we're doing in CTE and some of the programs. If any of you, I brought a copy of the information we shared last time just in case you needed it, but I have all new information for you today. So if you remember last time, we brought you all kinds of articles about the different things that CTE was doing. Talked a little bit about the purchase of the building on Radio Road, that we are retrofitting to become the CTE building to move 5 of our programs there. And so today we just wanted to come in, give you an update on the progress of that project, and then see if you will be able to help us with our next steps. So, good. Sure, they're all in little packets. I'm gonna steal one.
Nope, you're good.
All right, so coming around to you are a variety of different materials. Okay, the first thing is a little booklet that we put together, and Jennifer sends her hellos this morning. She is at another meeting, so she's not here with me today. But this is something that we've worked together to create with our advisory partners that kind of outlines the project. So we're calling it Bridging the Gap. Our district has been very fiscally responsible in a lot of things that they've done, and so we had the money to purchase the building, working alongside Jay Miller with the Braden building, but it was a great opportunity for us to purchase that building and be able to retrofit it. So that is all in process right now. Bridging the Gap is the name that we gave to making up that gap in funding. So we have the funding for the building itself. What we are now doing is working with our partners and our partnering businesses and organizations and county entities to see if we can support the insides of the building, the tables, the chairs, the whiteboards, all of the things to make it a school. Most of our programs will be bringing their materials with them from the high school. The exception of that is our welding program. And the reason for that is because all of our agriculture classes will be staying in the high school, and we don't want to take that welding ability away from those classes because that's an important part of their curriculum. So we will be leaving the welders behind at the high school, and so we're looking for new welders to retrofit the new building. So this little flyer is just kind of an overview of the entire project. It gives you an overview of the 5 programs we'll be moving into this building. So fire and rescue, construction, welding, EMT, and criminal justice. Those are the 5 programs that we'll be relocating to allow more room in the high school for them to expand. And so this is an overview. The next sheet we have, Jennifer and Lori and I have been meeting with all of our business partners and community partners in little groups. and asking them for their assistance in this as well. We have some amazing equipment donations rolling in. I don't know if you saw the press release just last week. We got a skid steer donated from Milestone for our civil construction program, so the students will be able to get their skid steer certification and add that to the curriculum. So this is an overview of the different sponsorships levels. In this CTE building, we have equipment needs. We have funding needs, like I said, for tables and chairs and whiteboards and all of those day-to-day operations. We will be having a donor wall to recognize any donations to this project. So this is kind of an overview of some specific equipment that we are requesting. And then on the back are the different donor levels. And then our instructors have given us a wish list, and we put that at the bottom. And fantastically, a few of those things, we're starting to get some feedback from some of our partners that are rolling in. So we're excited to see some of those things come through to be able to supplement the programs. I did also put a letter of support in there. We had a meeting with Stacy Beiswanger from Steel Dynamics. They are huge supporters of what we do. In fact, they donate all of our steel and all of our wire and rod for our welding program consistently. Huge supporters of our programs, and so Stacy sent a letter of support just to continue this work and to expand our space so the students have more opportunities. The last thing in your packet, on the back actually, is the projected budget that we shared with you last time. So it's the one that has the narrative and the pictures. So on the back, the full page is the budget we shared with you last time. We're looking at about an $8.5 million project in total for the purchase of the building, the clearing of the lot, which if you've been out there, you can see they've taken a lot of trees down and things as we prepare for parking for these students. And then inside, the new slab is poured. That's what the pictures are on the front. You can see our students there working alongside the contractors and learning about that process. That's one of the great things about this project is our students are able to work alongside the workers as they're doing the work. So the slab has been poured. The next thing coming in, Kissinger Electric is in there right now, and so our students are getting to see some of the electrical work. City Electric talked with us at the career fair last week, and they're getting ready to run the main line in. So the students are going to be able to see them set the poles and do that whole process. So we're excited for that to definitely be a learning opportunity for our students. So just kind of some updates there on the project as a whole. And then at the bottom of that page is what we have as a specific ask if you would have interest in helping us support. The welding booths, we're looking at putting 20 welding booths into this building. It's important to know that these CTE programs, we work in collaboration with area schools. So we have students from West Noble, Wawasee, Whitco, and Churubusco that come to attend some of our CTE programs, as well as we send students to Whitco for some of their programs, and a few to Wawasee for the pastry program, and marine mechanics if we have interested students. So it is a collaboration. So welding booths, we're looking at putting 20 booths in there. That does expand our capabilities that we currently have in the building. The price tag on those welding booths in totality is $20,000 a booth. That's for the table, the tools, the welder, the safety equipment, everything that goes along with it. We're looking to add a dispatch center to our criminal justice program. We do offer dispatch certification through simulation right now, but if we had an actual dispatch center, it would be great for the students to get that hands-on equipment. And then for fire and rescue, that is one of the programs that the state has just upgraded to a high-wage, high-demand, high-need career field. So we're thrilled that we have been able to offer that program consistently, but that is not a cheap program. And so we're asking for assistance in turnout gear for the students to protect their safety and to have updated turnout gear for the students. So that is an ask that we are making of you. Lori, if you want to add anything, Lori's here representing our Whitley County Collaborative, so our 501c3 organization.
Good morning. Hi. A couple years ago, when we started doing some work at the high school level with realigning into academies, we received some grant dollars into the school corporation. And a portion of those grant dollars were set aside to establish a nonprofit foundation to support the work of the school corporation. At one of our recent board meetings, we did pass a resolution to establish a specific fund within the foundation that is specifically for this project for CTE programming. So the school has been very supportive, and I can tell you is a leader in the state of Indiana on providing CTE programming, on career pathways, on work-based learning, and I'm really proud to be affiliated with the school system. I have one child who's a graduate, 2 that are still in the school, and it's a very special place, and I hope that the Redevelopment Commission would consider coming alongside us again as we continue to expand the programs that we're able to offer students.
Thank you. Any questions?
You said something about a marine program.
Marine mechanics. So
Mechanics,
Wawasee
yes.
offers a marine mechanics for
Do
both
you
CTE
have a
schools
lot of
and
interest in
We
that?
don't, and that's one great thing about it being a partnership program.
Yes.
So we have 1 or 2 students every year or 2, but that doesn't, we don't have to eliminate the program because
Right.
it's done in partnership.
Sure,
And so
okay.
every once in a while, if we have 1 or 2 students that are interested in going, they go to Wawasee for that program and benefit from that without us having
Great.
to offer it in-house.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I did have one question, and my son's 4, so obviously I haven't been through all this. And I think it's great that we're working with other schools, and I know that we have to be kind to them too. So how does it work? Is it offered to our students first, and then it's opened up to area schools? And I know that's probably really hard because you can't say no and then expect our kids to be able to go to other schools. So how does that work?
That's a great question, and I will say it's program specific.
Okay.
So we try to offer programs here that our area schools do not offer, so that we're offering complementary programs. So for example, Whitco Career Academy has a construction program. They focus more on the residential, the HVAC sides of things, so the building a house, building a structure. We focus more on the commercial and the civil construction side. So the asphalt, the concrete, the paving. So those programs, we have some programs that are called open seating. What that means is if there's seats left over after Columbia City High School students want them, they're available to other schools. And so a lot of our programs are in that capacity. Some programs, we have 8 programs that are specifically designed to be split fairly between Whitco, Churubusco, and Whitley County. So there are some, it's based off of your student population. And so, for example, if there's a program that can allow 20 students in for safety's sakes, based off of student population, Columbia City may get 10 of those seats, and Whitco may get 5, and Churubusco may get 5, just because of the student enrollment. And so different programs are set up different ways.
Okay.
Welding is one that we do duplicate. Whitco has a welding program, and we have a welding program. Both programs have a waiting list.
Mhm.
And so it's an opportunity where we don't want to restrict the number of students if we can at all help it, and so there is a need for 2 programs. And so that's a great question. Every program's a little bit different based off of the need.
Okay.
Do all of these programs, or most of them, I guess, have like certifications that go along with them?
Yes, and in fact, we have 25 different pathways that the students can choose from.
Mhm.
We're moving 5 of them into this building. But all of our programs, we work really hard to have certifications, industry recognized certifications. That does meet a graduation requirement for the students, as well as dual credits.
Mhm.
And so our students in our construction pathway, they receive construction credits. So if they decide to go on to a college degree in construction management, they have some of those basic classes done. They're also getting certifications, whether it be OSHA, whether it be the skid steer certification. And so industry recognized related certifications are built into all of our pathways. We work really hard to make sure that we have the dual credit side for students that are wanting to continue their education, and the certification side. Sometimes students don't know which direction they're gonna go, and that's fine. We wanna prepare them so that when they do make that decision, they've got some of those things. Great question.
Andy, do we have any restrictions in terms
Yeah.
of?
So I assume this isn't in the TIF district, right? This building is not in the TIF, correct?
No.
Yeah. So, we have a model we've used before when the high school was built. So because it's not in the TIF, we can't reimburse them directly for costs, but we can pay for things that serve the TIF.
Mhm.
And so that's how we did the high school. We need to enter into a contract, and we've done this before again, directly with whoever the contractors are, pay them directly for improvements that serve the TIF. The one question I was gonna ask is, we could make this work. Does it need to be criminal justice and fire and rescue, or can we kind of get $75,000 from some other spot? Because it's easy to say, yeah, welding, you're training people to work within the TIF.
Mhm.
We could say criminal justice and fire and rescue, they could be firemen that serve the TIF, but it just seems like construction and either welding or construction are obviously direct areas that serve the companies within the TIF.
Yeah, I will tell you, we will take support in any
Yeah.
area that you are willing
Yeah.
to give it.
I don't make those decisions, but
Yeah, absolutely.
it would be better to have that 75 kind of put into the construction or welding program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Andy, can we use the vocational program item that's allowed in state statute rather than using this as construction?
I haven't used that yet because it's a new law, so I'll have to look at that.
The one I'm thinking of is older.
Oh, is it the training one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Vocational programs for a local school.
I guess I was thinking more this was hard construction costs, but
Well,
That's a
the
question.
Position,
Yeah.
yeah, the equipment, I mean, that's
okay.
a
I
little different.
I would say this. I would make a decision on whether or not you're going to do this, and we'll figure out how to get it in there.
Okay.
Do you have totals of the graduates from these programs that you could provide?
Yes, absolutely. Jennifer is my data and numbers lady, so she could probably spit those out to you
Yeah,
right away.
I'd be
But yes, we
interested.
absolutely do have those numbers. I can give those back to
I'd
you.
be interested in seeing those.
How many kids do you have in work-based learning, like internships right now that
This
are-
semester I have 194, and that's in individual placements. That's not including any of these programs.
And that's out of a class of
300.
300, so, this is embedded in every student in our corporation. And it's only getting better and better as the years go on.
Well, it's benefited
Yeah.
our fire department
Yeah.
immensely.
Good.
And they've come out and they know their stuff and they come out of there. We're impressed with that.
Yeah, we have industry professionals that teach these pathways. So, I mean, our welding pathway is taught by a career welder. He welded at Paragon for, I think, 16 years before he came to us. Our construction program is taught by a 30-year pipe fitter, so he lived the world. Our fire is taught by a current fire chief. Our criminal justice is taught by a retired detective with the Fort Wayne Police Department. Our EMT is taught by a current practicing paramedic, so he works the truck as well as teaching our classes. So we really do try to make it real life so that they are trained when they come out and ready to participate. So thank you.
On the dispatch center, and Ed's here too, so is there any way, would it be possible to use that as a tertiary dispatch center for the county? To actually tie it in as a actual dispatch center?
It depends on if it's live or not. A lot of schools have virtual ones, and so it is not linked to the system. I guess that's something we could absolutely discuss. But we do put our fire students through emergency dispatch certification, our criminal justice students, and our EMT students. So they all get that certification because a lot of them know they want to go into public service, but they're not exactly sure where. And so this is the first year we've offered it to programs besides the criminal justice. And so our fire and EMT students are benefiting from that as well. And it's great because we do have students that are choosing to pursue that option as well. I know that's definitely a need. Nothing is out of the question. We can look into it. Most schools do not run a live dispatch center. It's not actually connected. It's a virtual, but we could look into opportunities.
Yeah, Ed, would that be a possibility? Like, 'cause I
It
know we're
always-
always looking for redundancy if there was like an
Yeah, and that's
emergency.
where I'm thinking, it would be, it doesn't have to be live, but they all should be and are doing well of trying to find that what if. Just 4 or 5 years ago, Southern Indiana had a 911 center that flooded and they had to evacuate. Having that secondary, whether it's live or not, but being able to put somebody there in an emergency, that would be very beneficial.
Yes, I think you're right.
And with it being separate from the actual high school building, that would be,
Yeah,
that might be workable.
yeah, absolutely investigate.
Lori presented to the board last night, and the gentlemen that are involved in the construction as well, and they said they're now at the point where they're willing to give tours, and they offered the school board the opportunity to take a tour, and I'm sure that anybody that's interested to go through
Absolutely.
Lori could set that up very quickly for you.
We can put your hard hats on, we've got a supply, and take you through there. It is now safe to go through, the floor's all resurfaced, they're putting up the walls, and so it's interesting to see the shape, the space take shape of where the different classrooms will be and where the different learning labs will be. So they're constructing all of the walls right now. HVAC ventilation has gone into the welding lab, which is a big undertaking. There's huge ductworks in the ceiling now. So it's coming along one piece at a time, but it's exciting to see it. Happy to give you a tour. If anybody's interested, just reach out.
Any other questions for Lori? I think what I'd like to do, and you guys can agree or disagree, is maybe, well, number one, if anybody wants to schedule a tour, maybe we can have have that scheduled for us, have Jill schedule it for us. But I'd also, I think I'd like to, discuss it maybe at our next meeting in a little more depth and get everybody's thoughts on it, give you 2 weeks to think about it, and have some conversations with, maybe with Ed or others that, this could impact. Give Andy a little chance to think about it as well. And also take a look at, kind of where we are budget-wise and money-wise and what might be available to help out. And then, but I'd like to keep it on the top of the agenda and address it sooner rather than later, giving the school as much time as possible to plan, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
Okay. Since we have Lori here, any last questions for her? Or
Yeah, I didn't say,
Lori
we
or
do plan
Lori?
to open
The
the doors.
Lori
Loris.
1, Lori
Yeah.
2. That's
We do plan to open the doors in August. And so we told the students they may have to bring their lawn chairs. They don't like to sit anyways. But we will have this up and running in August is the hope.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
And I think the gentleman who spoke last night said they have a construction meeting every Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Correct.
And so they were inviting us to show up for that. And I think that opportunity would be available to you as well. But we had some members say they'd like to come later in the day because they work. And so I think whatever would suit. But it sounds like that 1 o'clock opportunity is open every Tuesday.
They have the meeting at 1 o'clock
Yeah.
every Tuesday. So he's there all day
Yeah.
on Tuesdays generally. He said he's definitely willing to stay after. Our students are there in the mornings. And so if you wanted to see the student interaction, they are there in the mornings until about 12:30. We have 2 groups of students that run through it. So it kind of depends on what you want to see. The contractors are busy working throughout the day. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we good? Nods are good enough, okay. Okay, well, that's how
Thank
we'll
you.
approach
Thank
it in
you.
terms of our glide path or whatever. Thanks, everybody. I'm assuming, Kay, that you have fairly quick stuff that, and you're next on the list anyway, so.
It's very quick. I just met about a week and a half ago with Trevor Smith, the new president of Star Financial, and the checking account for redevelopment and the savings account are kept with Star Financial, and we did an annual renew. The checking account is currently called a Business Now account. That is no longer available. They are doing away with that. We were earning 0.01% with the Business Now account. And I just wanted to inform you that we are going to be moving that to a preferred liquidity fund. And we will start earning 2.25%
Good.
on the checking account. That is the same as what you earn on your savings account. The only difference is with the checking account, we will have to watch, the auditor and I myself will have to watch, there's only allowed 6 deposits per month in that account now, and 32 transactions. That's without having any fees.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you an update. Currently, I keep around $300,000 in the checking account. I keep it low because the interest was earning much better in the savings. Now we'll be able to move some money into the checking account because they're gonna be earning the same. So you currently have 12 million plus in the savings account, and I probably will be moving around 700,000 over to keep $1 million in the checking account. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Do we need to adopt anything or approve anything, or we just
No,
let you?
I-
Okay.
Let me, but I just wanna make sure you guys are aware of what's
Nope.
going on and that you are okay with that kind of account. I think it's the best fit. He's been very good. He's a new young gentleman. He's been very good about making sure that the county's getting what they need.
Well, thank you for keeping track of that for us. That's good. Appreciate it.
Anybody else have any questions for Kay while she's here? I mean, we can call her down anytime, but since she's here today, I may as well.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. Okay, I am going to insert new item as item 3. And this kind of came up over the last week or so. And didn't get it on the calendar, or didn't get it on the agenda. But Ed Scott is here from our emergency management area. Ed is working with the county to help with emergency dispatch issues, and they are looking at a project, and he asked whether the Redevelopment Commission would be able to help fund those efforts. I said I didn't know on 2 counts. Number 1, whether we had the money. Number 2, what our TIF funds can be used for to support a project like this, but invited him to come and give a brief presentation today. I know he's talked to Mike a little bit about it, since Mike's our resident fire communications guy that knows all this stuff. But Ed, the floor is yours. Tell us what you got going, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. What I'm here to talk about is looking at the project that we're trying to be able to do is improve the infrastructure for communication across the county. Unfortunately, Whitley County has multiple spots that are having some issues, and have over the years. I'm sure this is something that's came up in the years prior. I know there were some problems back, I believe, around 2020, 2021, especially on the law enforcement side. And at that time, they did find a solution for them. And more recently, it's been brought up again because of other services like fire, EMS, and even NDOT. So down in the South Whitley area and northwest corner Etna, there is a gap between the state's infrastructure for the system that is utilized from public safety. We have been working over the last 2 to 3 years of trying to find multiple solutions for it. And unfortunately, it seems like every option we looked at up into the one we're at now are just Band-Aids. The solutions are either only certain areas can be improved by it and not the whole community of the county. And I feel, and we have formed a subcommittee of public safety representatives that have been working together on this where we're at now. This will not only take care of 1 or 2 issues, it will take care of multiple issues. It is the greatest improvement, because every time we come back to an issue with communication in the county, it always comes back to the infrastructure, not the type of radio or the brand of radio or where the radio's from or who makes it or whatnot. It comes back down to the infrastructure. And because of that, I feel that it's kind of maybe not always been looked at fully because of the price tag. The price tag is not the greatest. However, we look at other communities like you'll see in one of the pictures, Elkhart County and Steuben County have recently did this. They've added more sites to their county, and those issues, other than maybe a user error, have pretty much went away. One big problem we have in the county is we only have 1 site. And if you look at all of our neighbors, most of our neighbors have more than one, with the exclusion of Allen County, who has their own private system of 4. However, they're adding a second one that will be on the state system, so they're going to be getting 2. Because I believe it's Monroeville is their version of South Whitley. They have a lot of problems, and they also came to the same conclusion that adding another site will help that. There also is a diagram on there that you'll see there's some pink blob. That's the signal strength to be able to connect. And as you can see, the biggest struggle is going inside, which is where this project started with, was fire service. Fire, that's where they spend most of their days, inside the buildings. But even the solutions that were found for law enforcement a few years ago did not work during an exercise recently in one of the schools. They were inside the school and they couldn't get out of the school. So they were unable to call for help. They were unable to talk to their dispatch from inside the school. So looking at opportunities where we could improve it for the entire county, and anytime we have neighbors coming in. I know there's been discussion about the TIF and it not being in the TIF. However, by doing this is going to help everyone in the county, whether that would be people traveling to and from the area or coming in to help our community. If you look at the recent disaster over in Newton County, If you look at the responders from that, they came from all across the state. When they come in from the state, they're gonna be using the state system. And if we don't have coverage for them, then they're not gonna be able to do the job they're here to help our citizens with. That's why I think where I was going with that. Is there any immediate questions?
So a question, I mean, you talk about not having coverage inside the building. The proposals you're talking about, would that address that issue, or is that a side issue?
If you look at the two pictures, the one that you can see that the center of the one inside the building is Columbia City, because that's here in Columbia City. It's at J&K's tower site, so the pink there shows that inside the city, they don't have any issues because they're so close to the site.
Okay.
We're adding the site to South Whitley and hopefully the Larwill area will make that pink circle from the inside cover the entire county. There are some mapping that we've done from the engineers with Motorola that do confirm with that. Unfortunately, those are they won't release those to even me. So basically you would take that picture from the interior and move that pink blob to the southwest corner and the northwest corner, and that's what the project ended up doing.
Okay.
So, what are you, when you say add a site, like what does that mean? Build a tower?
Build a tower
Okay.
with the equipment. There is an anomaly on that now. You can have an individual site, or you can have what's called simulcast. So if you look at the county ones, let me find one. If you look at Huntington, for instance, Huntington has two sites, but you see there's no lines connected to them. So those are individual sites. And the way the system works is it looks for the core, and the core is in Indianapolis. The problem with having individual sites like Huntington, if you lose the connection to the core, you go into what's called site trunking, where the tower will still, or the site will still work, but it's only working there, so you can't hear anything out of the system. So like for instance, when Whitley County goes into site trunking, if we're number 47, anyone connected to 47 that has strength to reach that will hear each other. But if you're in South Whitley or Cherubusco, or you're on the county edge where there's another one like Fort Wayne or Kendallville or Wabash or Claypool, it connects to those sites to get to the core, but they can't talk to or hear the Columbia City site while it's in site trunking. So the workaround for that is what Elkhart County, St. Joseph, and Steuben did. They do what's called simulcast between all the sites. And if the core, like if you look at Steuben County, there's one with red around it, that's the primary. That's the one that's connected to the core. If it loses connection to the core, it goes inside trunking, but all the connected ones go with it. So then they have their own county-wide system that's working on its own. So if they're in their corners of their county, they're still able to talk to their center. And adding the sites will do that. That's what this plan is proposed to do, is do the simulcast, where if we had one in South Whitland, we had one in Larwill, and then our Columbia City, and we lose connection to the core, all three of those will still work together, and everyone connected to it will still talk to each other. Without that, you could have somebody on the corner of Columbia and Cleveland Township working a fire. The fireman's radio, because it doesn't get as far, will be connected to, let's say, the Columbia City site. But the truck got a better strength, and it will look for the core, and so it's connected to Huntington. You could have the fireman sitting in the fire truck and couldn't talk to the fire truck without that connectivity.
Is this police and fire?
This is everyone, so this
Okay.
will cover for police, fire, NDOT, Parkview just switched over to the system. I'm trying to think who else is on it. It's statewide.
Okay.
I'll make a point here. Probation goes out and does
Yep.
checks
Probation's
for the
on it.
courts, and they've been, my wife was, when she worked for them, she was in Warsaw and could not get a hold of Whitley County. And she ended up, she was at a drug house, and so she called the police department in Warsaw and said, hey, I think there's a drug house here. I'm here from Whitley County checking on an individual. And they said, get out of there right away, and they came, and it sure enough was. Now, if she wouldn't have had a phone, she could have been in a real predicament. And I
Yes.
think that would help the courts as well, make sure that their people that they send out are well protected.
And the current field officer, Sam, he does use a radio that's on the system, so he would be one of those.
Yeah.
I did not
So
think
it's
about
just,
that.
yeah, it includes them as well, and that's important.
But also our neighbors, so if we have to call in our neighbors for something, whether that would be the ones that come through on a pursuit chasing somebody from another county, or, again, Newton County. You go back to the, January when the winter storm happened, southern Indiana was not prepared like we are in the north. We do that almost, it seemed like every other week. The DNR for northern Indiana sent all their snowmobiles down to southern Indiana. They're on the state system. So if that would happen here and they come up from the south, they also would be utilizing the same system.
Looking at your last page, the project costs.
Yeah.
So is that number like the, for 2 sites, 4.07 million, is that all in? I mean, I know you've got the
Yeah,
annual
so-
maintenance costs and
Yeah,
everything.
so for the estimated cost, the first one is everything, so it'd be both sites, which is what's the goal. And that would be almost $4.1 million, and that would include, the tower, the construction. I think on the county's end, we'll have to get electricity ran to it. There's some small things, and then any permitting fees, I don't know how that works, but, that would be everything, the tower, the site, the generator that's on site for the backup, the building that has to be made, so that way they have 24/7 access to the, system if something goes wrong. And then, a single site, so if we have to, where we can't get the full and we wanna do, the primary is gonna be South Whitley area, because that's the highest residential, but also the highest, gap we have in the community. And that would be 2.9 for the single site. I think I wrote this wrong, no I didn't. But then there's also the continuous maintenance, and in the proposals that, they sent us, they had a 5-year plan. Each year, it's a different price, but if you add those up, for both sites, it's $878,000 for 5 years, and then single site was $493,000 for the 5-year gap. The goal for us would be, by the time this happens, and or by the time we get to the end of that, we're gonna have some kind of plan on how that maintenance is gonna be continued, because that's a big issue that I don't think a lot of them thought of until we started showing the numbers and seeing how much it costs to keep the system up and running.
So where would that tower go?
So right now, the proposal site is in South Whitley.
Okay.
We found a property down there that is not being used, and we are waiting to speak to them to see if it's possible that it can be utilized.
You see how there's like a gap here? It looks like kind of Steel Dynamics area.
Mhm.
Would that solve that problem?
No, because the coverage area wouldn't get all the way over to here.
Okay.
If we put one over here. There is another site like right here that's not being seen here. You can see North Webster's here, but in, at the NDOT location there on 69, is the Indianapolis. And, in a recent, unfortunate tracking of a radio that we had to do in the Cherubusco area, the officer, while he patrolled his 8-hour shift, constantly, at least once an hour, was switching between Columbia City sites, Fort Wayne site, and Lisbon, which is Kendallville. So they're in that spot where they're getting overlapped by the other sites. If we go to this, when we go into site trunking, they would have to have some stuff on the backside done where they stay on the system. But no, they have the coverage from that area over there. We haven't had any reports of any gapping in that area.
So if, I mean, with this, I think, I know what Andy's thinking here, but with this, you know, there's a lot of communication inside the building that's not covered out along the US 30 corridor east of town. Would this project help close up any of those shortcomings? I mean,
Trying to think back to the maps when we had the proposal maps, I'm not 100% sure that will. The system itself will be revised. Yeah, no, I meant when I was in the meetings with Motorola, the new maps where the engineers did with the proposal layout, they wouldn't send me. They only would do it on a virtual meeting and let me see it. So I'm thinking back to the way that was. I'm not sure, other than when this occurs, the Columbia City site will be redone. Part of this is revamping because it has to be recalibrated. So the signal strength may improve based on newer equipment and a refresh tune to it. Outside of that, I don't think it would be doing much to that from that far away, other than there would be new equipment put up.
What's the cost of that equipment? Do you know? Any idea?
I believe if you look at like the single site is 2.9, to what I'm seeing, the tower is probably $1 million of that.
I meant the Columbia City revamping.
I don't know just on that part. No,
Okay.
no, that was, I'd have to go through and break down, the proposal they sent us. And it changed depending on which project because of what has to be done from a third site to the system.
Mhm.
So co-location is an option rather than having your own standalone tower?
What do you mean by that?
Putting your equipment and antennas on an existing cell tower or other antenna,
If
tower.
it's possible, there are logistics that we were trying to avoid with that because you gotta get in the contract, you gotta have access to it, you gotta have structure for them to be able to get into it. There is a location that has been thought of if we have to shave the $1 million out for a tower, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
Like water towers, the state doesn't want anything on water towers because every time the water tower is maintained, it all has to come off.
Oh.
And so there's a burden of cost, and then, that was one thing, that was road in South Whitley. Theirs needs painted, so I think that would be happening soon, I would imagine.
Okay.
So they try to avoid water towers. But if, cell towers or anything like that, if we could get space, that was also possible.
Yeah, we've been made aware that there's a upcoming tower. They haven't yet filed for approval through us, but they will need to, what is it, near Lorraine?
350 west up by Lorraine.
Oh.
So that might cover that area for you.
Also one in Cherubusco.
Yeah, we've been working on something
Yeah.
with, Cherubusco to reserve a spot on there for future improvements. That might be something we might wanna look at that one too.
Yeah, there's been a spat of new cell towers around the county, but the one near Lorraine's probably the most beneficial for this
Mhm.
project.
Yeah, and we picked the Larwill Fire Department only because it was local government property compared to trying to maybe look at the school or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To avoid the contract logistics of that, but yeah, that's a possibility. Didn't know about that.
There's no funds either in that Larwill TIF, right? Or not much to say.
That's another topic here in a few minutes.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot of ifs and what ifs, possibilities or potentials if it's even possible. But that's what Mike and I talked of coming in just to get it in your radar, have you see what we're trying to find, and if there's an opportunity for you, the commission to assist, that we greatly appreciate it because, as we all probably know, grant money and grants in the whole are not, they're not, they seem to be going away sometimes.
Yeah, at what point are you in the process? I mean, I know, talk about planning, but is,
So what we did is we went through and looked at multiple proposals. We looked at single site, multiple site, our own system, like our neighbors Kosciuszko did their own system. So the committee now has come through and we, out of all the potential possibilities, this was the best solution for the whole county. And now we're trying to find where funding will come from. We're just getting started on that. One of the members of the committee mentioned the commission, so that's more we're in.
okay, cool. Any, I don't know, Commissioner Basinger, do you have anything or any thoughts from the, I guess, from the commissioners on this, or any discussions you've had that you can share?
No, we've not discussed this,
Okay.
so I don't have anything.
As our two former public safety officials, how about you, Frank, or Mike, anything you want to add?
Not currently, no.
I do know that there's a need, definitely,
Mhm.
Especially schools.
Mhm.
When you can't get out of school, if you have a shooting situation and you can't get out to the dispatch or
Right,
your people,
sure.
there's an issue. As well as if a fireman falls through the floor, goes into a basement and can't
Mhm.
get out and say, I need some help. That's an issue, and that's a public safety issue.
Sure.
It could be the homeowner, it could be the business owner, and it's there's a need there.
Okay.
And I hope we could work something out, be able to work something out.
Okay, well, I don't know. Any other questions from anybody? If not, we'll let Ed get back to protecting us, and I'm sure we'll follow up with some questions, Ed, but I'll.
If you have my contact, feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot for putting this together on short order.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Next up, project updates. Anything on Project Freedom? I know Dale's not here, but
Let's see.
and I would say let's throw Overdeer Park Road into that as well.
I don't have anything from a development standpoint, anything from, okay.
Okay.
I just drove by there yesterday and all the buildings are still there,
Okay.
so I have not heard anything from Union Fire on what they're.
Well, maybe they need radio coverage
we
before
should
they can do
hear.
it.
Yeah.
They don't want to go in the buildings. That-
Can I ask you a question? 600 East, south of 30, is pretty rough.
Okay.
Does the highway have plans of getting that repaired fairly soon?
I will have to check with them.
Okay, I know there's a pretty good dip there, there was a week or so ago, and there's some pretty rough spots north of the track that really need to be addressed.
So they'll do their Pacer ratings of all the roads this spring, and then they'll plan their maintenance for the summer.
Okay, okay. Good enough.
Is the barn gone?
Yeah,
Okay.
twice now.
Barn's gone twice?
Yeah, I talked.
How does that happen?
I talked to Doc Gilliam yesterday, and they got the barn, they got it up, framing wise, most of it. And wind came and sent it down again, so they're gonna have to reconstruct it. So,
Wow, that's
little
awful.
time delay on resetting up the barn, they didn't get it secured enough when those big winds came.
Okay. 100 South reconstruction, anything we need to know?
I got a set of preliminary final plans
Mhm.
that I'm reviewing, and I sent to highway department, sent to Nathan. We'll get those turned around,
Okay.
finalized for letting, or bidding.
We will, we'll wait to hear further on that. Larwill, and Nathan kind of alluded to this a little bit ago. The town of Larwill has some sewer issues that they're working on. They're currently working with Commonwealth Engineering to kind of pull a project together and apply to the SRF, for an SRF loan from the state to, I think, redo their pump and address some issues where the sewer comes under US 30, where it's too low or whatever, and it's settled in, and so the sewer stuff kind of settles in that depression. I talked to Troy Kiefer a little bit about it, and suggested that, I mean, we do have some money available in the Larwill TIF area, and that I know it's not a lot, maybe $43,000 currently, but at least maybe on any studies or other things that they might need help with, that I would bring it up with you guys and see if that's something that we would be interested in taking what we do have to help out with. Seems to me that's the point of the TIF in the first place, is raising the money to invest back into the infrastructure in the TIF area. And so this would clearly be a situation where we could use the money. If everyone is in agreement with that approach, I'll talk to Troy and maybe have him or someone from the town come in and talk to us about it at an upcoming meeting. I think their SRF application is due at the end of this month, and so I don't know if it would be of help for them to have support from us ahead of time, but again, I can check with him and see any.
I think the game plan is, at least with the crossing of US 30, which is bellied, and so, yeah, as you were saying, stuff just sits in the middle of US 30, under the middle of US 30. So, as I understand it, the game plan is to try and actually increase the capacity of that line to allow for more development to the north. They've got plenty of capacity at the plant at Pierceton. It's just getting it to the lift station and then on to Pierceton that is the constraint. So, while it's to resolve an immediate problem, and they do need to get this going very quickly, I asked how long they could string it out, and basically IDEM is on them, so it's an important thing. If possible, they'll try and upsize this to allow for additional capacity. It's not a given, but that's an ideal world.
And local support should help with their scoring with the SRF.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
normally, any local support helps their score towards getting their loan, so. If we're going to commit something, it would be helpful if it's done prior to them submitting their application.
So, do you think a motion saying that we support that, and directing me to submit a letter on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that would be helpful for their scoring.
okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
We
I
probably
realize it's still
gonna
pretty
need to
general.
state the extent of our support, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be that firm either, because you should be able to supplement your PER once it's in with
Mhm.
additional information. But if you know the dollar amount, they could put that in their application. That would be good.
Well, I don't think the $43,000 is doing us necessarily any good sitting there, even if it is getting us 2% now. But so yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to make a motion to commit up to the funds available in the TIF.
Assuming that sewer work will somehow be in or serve the TIF district, I assume.
And it, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in it.
Okay,
it
perfect.
falls right in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I would entertain a motion to that effect if someone would like to make one.
I'll make a motion that we commit to this project for Larwill.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? The ayes have it, 4-0. I will work with whoever to get a letter together and get that out to meet their submission deadlines. Next item, US 30. I see that the construction is underway. At least they've been mowing down trees along US 30 in Allen County. Anything else, I guess?
Yeah.
Brad or Nathan?
Brad and I met with NDOT yesterday. They actually requested a meeting with us and Larwill, so that's where Troy and I spoke. About 2 different locations, 300 East and Stayward 5. Post the PEL study. PEL and corridor-wide improvements are very high level, long-term, big dollars. But now that they know kind of where they're headed, they can start to put together projects that are, I don't know, gathering the low-hanging fruit, I think is what he said. Things to hit immediate needs and lower costs. So 300 East, because of the number of crashes, rose to the top as, hey, maybe we can do something there to address that. Their working plan was to replace the light with median U-turn. However, because of the expected amount of development occurring in the next year, because we have truck stop and gas station right there, as well as their own traffic studies with those projects, basically what was low-hanging fruit, we were told, is no longer. It's much higher up on the tree, much more of a systematic fix is going to be needed for 300 East, be it an interchange or something far more extensive than the, say, $1.5 million or so that they had in the budget. So they're thinking of us there. But that one's going to most likely get postponed. For State Road 5 and Larwill, same issue there, an abnormally or significantly higher number of crashes and injuries at State Road 5, particularly the westbound to southbound movements, either because of red light running or because people just can't see eastbound traffic as you make that turn. So they're proposing a similar makeup there, median U-turn. Their initial design included a dedicated left turn lane from westbound to southbound, but because of the sight distance issues, which was a very extensive part of our conversation, that may actually go away because that really wouldn't address the issue of that left-hand turn being a sight distance issue, whereas moving it to U-turns, which would be farther west and farther east, would. Of course, and having Troy there, there's some impacts on the town of Larwill itself, not really being directly accessed, impacts to the developability of the properties to the north that we're looking at, all of which come into play, all of which figure out what, play into what the design will be and so on. But it's hard to deny the safety record of median U-turns.
Right.
They are, for vehicles, much more safe. So that's their plan. It's still very ground level, very, I guess, pre-preliminary engineering even. I don't know what stage to call it.
Alternatives analysis.
Okay. Conceptual, thank you. Timeline on that, again, kind of the rough budget for NDOT's about $1.5 million or so, but timeline was either 2030 or 2031 for construction. So if they proceed through and it is feasible, they'll get going on actual engineering, and bidding would be for that about 5 years from now, construction time frame, which is good and bad, of course. We did talk about including the intersection at the fire station in the overall scheme because there would be impacts there, and then also Binkley Road could also have impacts on State Road 5 and 5 on Binkley Road. So including those at least in the traffic analysis, if not in the overall design, will also be important.
Given the increased complications at 300, does this move Larwill up the low-hanging fruit list?
They were pretty on par, as I understood it. Again, it's they were kind of on pause while the PEL study was going on, so they've got a bunch of projects that they're trying to knock out fairly quickly along both US 30 and 31. US 30 is the important part for us. So it's one of several. He said that each county along US 30's got at least a handful of projects that are of the same order.
Okay.
I think for now,
go ahead.
I think for now they said they have $30 million a year shared, maybe just total shared between 30 and 31 to handle these kind of low-hanging projects, not including big, capital improvement projects that are coming from central, like the interchanges. These are just district wish list projects.
Yeah, that 30 million, if it was used for the PEL high-level stuff, you would probably look at, say, one interchange every 2 years. So this is $30 million over 240 some rail miles. Doesn't go very far. But.
So what do we expect from them timing-wise next?
If you've got any feedback, thoughts, hey, questions, did they think of this? I would say get it to Brad and I, and we can then forward it on to NDOT. But from here on, it's going to be pretty quiet because they've got to do their own internal feasibility analysis, further conceptual design before then turning it over to the design engineers. And then once they have a pretty solid design, it will go to public hearing. So we may not really hear too much more until that final stage, which is about 2 years, 3 years out.
Okay. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable with both of you guys on the point, but is there anything that we can do or need to do to be supportive in any way over the next 6 months or a year?
Brad, anything specific?
Just know that we're here if something does come up. I guess.
Probably the biggest thing is being mindful of development going on, and keeping NDOT in the loop, because just like at 300 East, if we have development there, that will change the nature of the project for them. So
Okay.
that's the biggest thing.
Okay. Any other, I'm sorry I've kind of taken over just asking all the questions. Any questions that anybody else has for Nathan or Brad? Okay.
Sorry, so, separate from those two projects, this wasn't an official update, but I did speak with the consultant project manager for the 600 East, crossing,
Uh-huh.
of US 30. We hadn't seen any alternatives out of that yet, but he did say they were leaning toward, US 30 over, 600 East under, and he thinks that, the way the elevations work, they can get a little bit of kind of, dual grading where they dig down 600 a little bit, so they don't have to raise 30 as much, but.
I know Elon Musk is looking for boring company projects to demonstrate his capability. Maybe we could put a tunnel all the way over on the other side of the tracks and take it over.
Along with that, we got requests for section 106 responses, which that's historic preservation.
Okay.
And along with that, they give a tentative area of disturbance. So 600 East and 700 East. 700 East, the area that they submitted for response was a pretty wide swath, inclusive of FDS property up to Lincoln Way. So we actually do have a couple potential historic properties in there. For 600 East, it's a very, very tight area right around the current intersection, which lines up with their intent of making that an overpass, and should be, based on that footprint, very, very little impact on the entrances to what used to be American Landmaster there, as well as on the north side. So it's good to have that affirmation.
Okay. Again, anything else? Anything else from you two on US 30?
Not on US 30. Dale did have one thing for me to relay, which is he's working on a training grant agreement with Lear, which is somewhat related. So that is forthcoming, but that was the only thing he's got that he pointed out to cover.
Okay. And Dale's not here, so we won't discuss business tours. Any miscellaneous matters? Jill? Mike?
No, I haven't none.
Teresa? Franklin?
No, sir.
I don't have anything either. I think we've covered it all. Claims?
I do have a reminder. Next meeting, we will cover the 2025 annual report. It's in final draft form right now, waiting on some proofreading and narrative from Dale and stuff. So that will be on the next agenda. So we will have the meeting. I think it's on the 14th, 15th, whichever day that is. So we will have that meeting.
Yeah, anybody else have any miscellaneous items? I always try to just wrap it up before Nathan comes up with more, but he caught me again today.
I just noticed he got it. So.
Okay, Frank, claims?
Claims, Carson LLP, professional services through February 28th, $1,380.50.
I would move to approve.
Teresa has made a motion to adopt or to approve the claims. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mike second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? The ayes have it. Andy gets paid. Life is good. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes that have been presented from our last meeting on February 24th? Just take a quick read here. See anything? Jill, any grammatical errors or spelling we need to discuss with?
Nope,
with
don't need
Brent?
me anymore.
Okay.
I move that we approve the minutes of the February 24th,
Frank has,
2026 meeting, 2026 meeting.
Frank has made a motion to adopt the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Teresa has a second. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? None. The ayes have it. And the meeting minutes are adopted. I know I just asked for any miscellaneous meetings, but Nathan's had time to think, so does anybody else have anything before I adjourn the meeting? Anybody from the crowd? No? Okay, the meeting stands adjourned at 9:07 a.m. Everybody have a